So hello and welcome to the Minecraft Builders Con. Nothing has happened. This is very straightforward, going very smoothly. So, what is the MC Builders Con? It's a yearly, we hope, convention about building, everything building, and we have about, 24 teams, I think, being represented all around the world. So it's great being here, and thank you for doing this conference with me, James.
Not at all, it's a pleasure to be here. So if we just briefly explain who we are and what we've done for those who aren't aware. I'm manager of a team called BlockWorks, and we're about 39 builders and animators and artists, and we basically work to create custom experiences in Minecraft, whether that be maps for server networks or YouTubers, sort of in the gaming arena, whether that's marketing projects. We've done quite a few projects with film studios looking to promote a certain film, and also in the educational sector, trying to engage young people with various topics using Minecraft as a platform they're familiar with.
Very nice. Yeah, this is much more convincing now that I can hear all the words.
Brilliant. Good start.
Yeah, so as for myself, my name is Bill Silverlight, and I am a full-time YouTuber and founder of LanguageCraft, which is a build team that's been in existence for, well, actually just over 4 years. We had our birthday recently. And we like to build cities and structures like that are a lot on a human scale that we can really go into. And it's, for me personally, it was kind of, I loved creating things, but I was very bad at drawing. So Minecraft is kind of that replacement. I can create things without just drawing things. But yeah, we've been redeveloping, and we've worked with museums in the past and creating projects. Always bigger, always trying to stay true to ourselves, but make bigger and more intense experiences.
Nice.
And we both have an old team, so we're, I hope, here to teach you how to get an old team yourself.
Excellent. So do we want to start with sort of creating a team? I think the first thing we had down was why would you create a team? Do you want to start with that?
Sure. So we're going to have, just to give you an idea, about 30-40 minutes of us talking. And then if you want to ask us questions, there'll be a Q&A afterwards. And if you want to ask them in advance on Twitter, we do have the hashtag MCBTeam, which that's the one we had settled on, right? Because no one has used it so far.
Perfect.
Great. So anyway, why would you create a team? Well, we talked about this a lot, and we brainstormed, and I've given a conference about this before. And for me, there are two reasons to create a team. The first one is because you share a common interest. And in this case, I mean, this applies to anything, not just Minecraft building. But in this case, it would be that. And in that case, it just kind of happens, I think. It starts with friends, and then after a while, you realize, well, wait, this is serious, and you actually start thinking like a team, but that doesn't necessarily happen right away.
Right.
And the second way to create a team is for a specific project. And so you don't start by being friends and doing something in common by kind of accident. You want to make something in particular. And so you look for people to help you with that endeavor.
Yeah.
And I think you had thought of a third one, didn't you? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, the creation of BlockWorks was kind of off the back of another team called Mytherintia.
Uh-huh.
So we'd sort of worked together in the past, and I think we sort of understood that we could achieve more as a team than as individuals, both in the sense of Minecraft building for fun, but also maybe at a more commercial level. So, for instance, completing commissions, it was, that's something that we could do more feasibly under one sort of team or brand name. So those were kind of the dual purposes for starting our team. But yeah, I think common interest for sure is...
Yeah. Well, I think for us, it's really weird. We were kind of in the middle of both, because when I created my YouTube channel and the team at the same time, I had this idea that I would be an instant success, because in my mind, we were going to make things that were so cool.
Yeah.
And of course, it's actually more complicated than that. And in any case, you need the visibility, regardless of what you're doing. But so right away, I wanted that team aspect to it. But the first members were friends, just people who kind of saw what I was doing and said, "Hey, you know what? That's cool. I can get behind that."
Yeah, and I think actually that's I can't entirely put our formation down to commercial interests. I mean, the first 4 founders of our team, we were all friends. We'd worked together in the past. We got on well, and we just started out with 4 people, and then it sort of grew from there, kind of organically.
Mm-hmm. I think that's, of the 2 types, I prefer that type of creation, that really organic, natural, friends first. And I know that's something that we've kept, is that we're kind of a family. We're really tightly knit, and we've seen a lot of each other in real life, things like that. And I think that's a much nicer environment than work before anything else.
Right, absolutely.
So quick note about what you're seeing, by the way. This is kind of a compilation of BlockWorks and LanguageCraft videos, just because this is more of something you listen to than watch. So we just have something kind of to keep you occupied. So I think that's about it for why.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to note what we didn't mention, things like success and money, and that's something that comes afterwards, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I think it's interesting you say that. Now quite a few teams have seen success and money. I think you could directly link that to the fact that there are a lot more build teams created now, and I think maybe in the last year a lot of the teams that have been creative have sort of been put together with the sole purpose of that kind of success and commercial success in mind.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think certainly sort of 4 years ago,
I think that's what I'm thinking.
Building for money was kind of unheard of, really.
Kind of when you jump into that world, that doesn't apply. But it is true that once you've been in a team and you're just kind of creating a new one, then those lines kind of blur.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so imagine you've found a group of friends, you've created your team. How do you grow it, James?
It's a good question. For us, before we have an application process now if you want to join the team, but way before that, it was a question of if we saw anything we liked in the community, we would reach out to them and we'd say, we really love what you're doing. We'd maybe have a call with them, get to know what they're like as a person, and we sort of grow it that way. So approaching people rather than people approaching us. And I think that's kind of necessary for any small team starting out. You're not going to be flooded with applications. But in terms of growing the team from the inside, not just in terms of numbers, I think practice is a factor. You need to spend a lot of time getting to know the other team members, working together, building together. A lot of teams, especially these days, kind of develop their own building style, which they can be identified by.
Absolutely.
And that's quite important as well.
That's interesting, because we never... I mean, of course, we were in kind of a strange spot where I personally have a large following as a YouTuber in France, and that's where a lot of our members come from, just because I'm constantly mentioning the build team, and obviously advertising for all our time lapses and things like that. But it is true that's a really good idea, actually. You yourself need to go see people and not just wait for them to come to you.
I mean, even to this day, we've had about 250, 300 applications now. I think one of them has been accepted. The other,
wow,
so not a great track record. But the other 38 builders that we have, they've all been invited.
Huh, that's interesting.
Because as soon as we see something we like or something different, something unique, we'll focus on maybe incorporating them or seeing if they'd be interested.
That's very interesting, because we started with that application process and stayed with it. So
Okay.
to this day, if you want to join us, you need to go on our forums and post a thing. And obviously, we're very demanding.
Yeah.
And then we say, okay, you clearly have the kind of potential or
Mm.
pure talent. Hop on our server, and then after a while, we'll say, okay, yeah, we like you. You're a definite member of the team.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
like you, that kind of you need to like the people you're working
right.
with.
We
That's
we do,
important.
we don't just invite people straight on and think you're great. Let's get you on
Yeah.
the team. We do have sort of a give them an applicant rank, maybe leave them on the
Uh-huh.
server for a week or sometimes a month, see how they interact with the other builders and what they
Sure.
produce. But yeah, so the vast majority of our builders have been invited rather than applied.
Hmm. And can you still do that today when, as you were saying, teams are so prevalent? Can you still find a builder that's not part of a team and wants to join a team?
Um, it's more difficult for sure, but often there's a happy coincidence in that someone we really like also has mentioned that they're considering joining or
Hmm.
might be thinking of applying, and we'll just save them the trouble and say we've been stalking you anyway, so let's make this happen.
All right, you've heard it here first. BlockWorks for stalkers.
Yeah, it's most of my day just going through PMC. Joking, it's not. Um,
No, that's really funny though, because for example, I'm the complete opposite. I don't really care about fashion, about anything around me. I'm happy to just do my own thing,
yeah,
and if people like it, good. If they don't, well, tough
yeah.
luck.
See, I'd say I'm the complete opposite. We
Yeah.
never accept anyone on the basis of them doing what we're doing. Rather the opposite. If they're doing something we're not doing or something we haven't seen before, whether that be a new style or they're building and using new techniques,
Hmm.
then we'll try and get them in the team so we've got sort of as diverse
Oh
a range
yeah, oh
of
yeah,
builders as
definitely. And
possible.
you were talking about, working with your team members and learning to know them and learning from them as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think
That was I can point to a couple members in the team who just it was a revolution when they joined the team and
yeah,
they had a different way of terraforming or something like that.
yeah. That's kind of sharing of knowledge is
Mm,
pretty useful. Which is
absolutely.
also why, and I know a lot of teams don't do this, but we have no issue with our builders being part of other teams or
Hmm.
groups. We almost encourage it if they can go to another team and learn something from that experience to bring back. Then that's just great for us.
Yeah, we have the same policy where
Yeah.
it's bit us in the ass a couple times, rarely, but it does
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's pretty positive. We just make sure that people understand you still need to be sort of active here.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just be a name on
Not
a
just
page.
drop out. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I mean, I even have a couple members who are members of several teams at BuildCon right now.
Yeah.
So pretty big teams. Yeah, I think it's interesting. You come back from the other team saying, "Hey, you know what they're doing? This is really
Yeah.
cool."
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Well, very good. Well, I think, yeah, I think is that it for growing a team, or
Yeah, I think so. Unless you have anything
no? I
else.
think we're gonna get a little bit back into it on how does a team function in part 3,
Mm.
because I mean not so much in how to grow it, but how to make it work, especially if it's going to grow.
Right. For sure.
Because I know we had kind of a couple big booms here and there, and I'm glad they didn't happen earlier
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have known where to start.
Okay.
All right, so part 2, image versus reality. So we were talking about community management when we prepared this.
Yeah.
What did you do for that internally to start with, for example?
We. I know a lot of teams have sort of maybe some kind of hierarchy or ranks. Okay, maybe we want to leave that for part 3 actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Community management. I mean, it's quite limited, not in the sense that we don't have a community, but everyone. We try and get everyone on sort of a level playing field, and the community isn't, there's no one person tasked with the management of us, a community. I mean, in cases of an argument arising or something, I think individuals will step up to resolve that off their own accord. But we don't really have any organized community structure. It's kind of based on mutual respect. Sorry, people getting on with each other. And I think
see, that's our problem. We don't respect each other.
well, I think the selection process is key to that. So when you're looking at an applicant on the server, how they react to people, what their tone is like, you know, even something as simple as how they talk can, you know, maybe cause issues later down the line if that offends someone. But yeah, we're quite laid back in terms of community management.
And what about outside?
Outside,
do you manage your fans or at all, or how would you manage your image, things like that?
Well, I'd say that's where we go from a community to a business. So our brand is entirely business driven, rather than community based. So the vast majority of things we do externally is aimed towards clients and sort of the presentation of us as a business. Because we don't really, I mean, unlike you, I don't think we have a fan base so much. We have people who are fans of our work, but they're not really fans of us as a community, or we don't necessarily have a personal identity in the same way that a YouTuber such as yourself does. I think that's self-evident from our channel. It's purely building content. We don't have any Let's Plays. I mean, barely anyone knows who I am or what I look like. They just know what BlockWorks is.
But because, for example, the French building community is a little bit special. Everyone, I mean, we all have a love-hate relationship, or sometimes just hate.
Right.
But the thing is, we all kind of know each other and have opinions about each other and just are around each other. Do you have that at all with other teams? And because maybe you don't manage that image compared to the public, but maybe for your collaborators?
Yeah, I mean, I do have to do a fair bit of management with respect to other teams and make sure no one's there are no arguments getting out of control. But again, I'd say that's kind of dictated from a business point of view. If
just protecting your brand,
right? Exactly. If we're seen to be arguing or being argued with, it's not good for potential clients. It doesn't make us look good. So our policy is simply to get on with everyone as much as possible. So quite a conservative policy there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of difficult for us because France in general, the French community is seen as kind of the underdog because it's a smaller one. Yeah. And so as one of the only prominent French teams, a lot feel that we owe them a kind of a responsibility that we need to promote the whole community and everything. Okay, but it's it's kind of complicated, but it is true that I tried having everyone like me or having everyone like us. And after a while, I just thought, you know what? If I do things right, they're not happy. If I do things wrong, they're not happy. And if I don't do anything, they're not happy. So you know what? I'm not going to do anything.
That's the same thing. I mean, I implore with my builders to keep quiet, don't start any arguments, but ultimately it's up to them. So I don't really manage any kind of external community policies. It's just up to our individual builders to be sensible and be friendly if possible.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've always told our builders is to remember that when they walk around with kind of the LC tag in front of their name or on Twitter, they represent the team.
Yeah.
And so you just need to make sure that you have people with common sense.
Yeah. Sort of decency and respect.
Yeah. And what about, would you say there's a big difference in how people see kind of BlockWorks or how they see a big team in general compared to how it is inside?
I think there is. We try and, as much as I've talked about not really focusing on a community image, we do purposely interact with other teams to sort of bring ourselves closer to the community. But at the same time, I think internally, especially our work in the education and media sector is maybe quite far removed from the vast majority of the community, in terms of working in a professional environment. And I know a lot of teams do commissions for sort of server networks and so forth, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a sort of business-based environment. So when I talk about a business-based environment, we're looking at working with companies. You have to be under contract. We have people working full-time on this, rather than sort of doing a nice server commission on the weekend for a bit of extra pocket money. So I'd say maybe on the inside we operate much more as a business than people might realize.
Okay. Well, yeah. And again, it's really funny because we're kind of the complete opposite. I mean, it's so funny to see these two prominent teams that don't work the same way at all. Yeah. Because on the inside, I think we're pretty laid back.
Yeah.
We're a family before all, and regularly we were talking about community management. Well, we have a community management team. Wow. They're not there to kind of tell people what they can and can't do at all. They're there to make sure that they're having fun.
Okay.
And they're there to answer questions, but also organize games for the team, things like that. But at the same time, it is true, and with this we can kind of move into our third part, is that we have a very strong hierarchy.
Yeah.
Which is not your case.
This is not our case at all. So yeah, as soon as you join the BlockWorks team, there is no ranking structure apart from the facts that I manage all of the administration, the finance, basically everything admin-wise, and everyone else is a builder of the same level. Everyone has the same commands. Everyone has op as soon as they join the server.
Oh, wow.
There's absolutely no distinction between our 39 builders, except for myself, in my capacity as manager. I think it just keeps it simple, and it means we've somehow avoided any sort of large dramas, and I don't think we've seen the need to kind of rank or segregate our builders in any way.
I think we haven't had too many dramas, but well, first of all, our system admin is a security freak, so that I think participates. But in general, we have a much stricter ranking system. No one is op.
Wow.
We have permission-based. What do you call it? Controls, not. What's the word I'm looking for? Commands.
Okay.
Yeah, and so basically, when you come in, you're you're kind of an intern.
Right.
And then after a while, when we get along well, you'll become an official member. And that's when you join the association and everything. You sit on the council. And after that, when we have separate branches for all our teams, so we've got builders, terraformers, graphic artists, developers, moderators, role play. So those are all our teams. And you can move up being an architect in the builder's side of view. So those are the people who are going to lead projects. Since you were telling me that you work a lot with one or two up to 5 max on a single project.
Yeah, sort of small focus teams who are kind of handpicked to suit a particular task depending on their availability, their skills, their experience.
I think that's definitely why we need more of a hierarchy, because we like to be the whole team together.
Yeah.
So we'll never have more than 2, maybe 3 projects at the same time.
Yeah.
And so an architect is basically someone who leads a project. And then we have the team leader, and we have one for each of our teams who leads kind of that part of the team.
Yeah.
And then above that, we have, and this is a legal term, we have the office is what it's called. And that's me as president. We have a treasurer and a secretary.
Wow.
And actually, it's funny because on paper, to make it easier, 90% of all decisions are taken by the three of us.
Yeah.
But in practice, we always ask everyone's opinion.
Yeah. Right.
But it just makes it so much easier to say, oh yeah, we had a meeting with just the three of us instead of getting the whole team together.
Right. Yeah.
And, oh, geez.
I mean, we do obviously have, for those smaller projects, people who are more likely to lead them. It's not just like a free for all, but those people aren't necessarily ranked or defined. It sort of naturally happens. I mean, we've got a few builders who will naturally assume that role, but we're also happy to let others try, or at least have the opportunity to experience that. And if for whatever reason it isn't working out, we can easily get someone who is experienced in leading projects in on that. But yeah, quite a nice feature we have is because everyone's op. It's not actually possible to ban or kick anyone, so even I can't kick someone, and
Really?
that forces us to resolve all our issues talking to each other rather than in the heat of the moment just getting fed up and just kicking them off the server. I can't actually do that.
Well, we never do that anyway.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think I can ban anyone I want, but I think I've never done it. I think I've fired one person in the history of the team, and I think he lied about his age and his identity and everything. So
oh wow,
yeah, we thought, I'm not sure we want this guy in our team.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so yeah, we have a very strong hierarchy, and the reason we talk about this is I think that's very important to have, whatever the size, and it may be a very strict one and large one like LanguageCrafts, or it might be like BlockWorks, a small, it basically has 2 levels.
Yeah.
But you need someone who's going to be there to say,
make the decisions.
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
This is how it's going to happen. Resolve issues, things like that.
And I think I'm only able to do that because I'm doing this full time, whereas the majority of our builders are in education or they've got university.
Yeah.
Whereas I can spend not quite 24/7, but as much time as I can possibly manage, getting all the business side done, and then the builders can enjoy just getting in projects and working on them without having to worry about admin or management or finance.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, that's the problem. Do you still build at all?
Yeah, I mean, I oversee pretty much all projects to make sure the output is consistent and that, based on my experience, the client will be happy with it. But I do build. Let's say that's probably 40% of my time. I actually work on projects.
Wow. Lucky guy.
60% admin. And the group projects in particular, I like to lead. No, but I mean, I'm by no means the best builder. There are much better builders than
not
me.
at all. I mean, I'm far from being the best builder, but I don't build at all anymore. I don't have time.
Oh, okay.
And I suppose for me, it's because YouTube is my job. It would be considered my day job, and then kind of like everyone else, my hobby, in a way, is, or that time that I would have for a hobby is spent on the team.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe my hobby is building, so my job is managing, and then in my free time, I'm on the server again.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting view, but definitely it highlights the fact that managing a team, you need to want to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have a team member. She's our secretary now, I mean officially, and she and secretary not in the sense, she deals with. She books my appointments or anything. She deals with all the paperwork aspects. And I remember when I first asked her to become admin 2 years ago, something like that. She didn't want to because she didn't want to do any admin work. She wanted to stay close to the builders and build.
Yeah.
And I remember regularly asking her, "Why are you still here? I mean, I love you and I'm glad we have you, but you shouldn't be here anymore in regards to everything you told us."
Yeah.
But as long as you stay in things and as long as you enjoy what it is, and I think for her, she's still there for the projects that she wants to be there for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably another thing I should touch on is our builders are under no obligations or requirements whatsoever, and that's that's part of the reason why we have such a large team. Is I have no expectations of my builders in terms of quotas or building, this amount of hours a week. If they don't want to do a project, they don't have to do it, and it's for that reason that we need 40 builders to maintain.
What about when
consistent.
they start a project, though?
If it's a project for their own enjoyment, I mean that's
Oh
completely
yeah,
up to
sure.
you.
But if it's for a
If
client,
if they start a project for a client and aren't able to finish it, unless they've royally screwed it up, I won't, hold that against them. Things happen, and I'll simply allocate other builders to the task. Occasionally, we do get builders who maybe underestimate the time it's going to take. That's very easily done, though. I mean, trying to estimate timescales is very difficult. So I would never really hold that against a builder. Yeah.
All right. And let's see, we had this very clear layout.
Just sort of
What
meandered
is
through it.
that? Administration, community management, building, media, marketing. I think those for us were the 4 different aspects to
Oh,
build,
right. What?
to
Yeah, how a team operates.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what we wanted to say with that at all.
Talk about that. I think we kind of covered
I think so.
most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But here, it's interesting because I think there are very few teams who can touch upon this next subject, which is Minecraft as a business and a legal entity. And again, we differ. Because, I mean, Minecraft is so funny because we all started as just a hobby. It's just something that you do after school or after work, and you sit down and play with your friends, and all of a sudden you're either making a living from it, or it's extra pocket money, or even if you're not making money, which is our case in LanguageCraft, you are making something that's relevant in a way.
Right.
In a museum for I mean, we work with PlayStation, for example. That's something that you can, why not put down on a resume?
Yeah, for sure. Something that's, a real impact.
Oh, yeah. And when
Beyond.
it gets to that type of level, I think it can't just be something that you operate out of your room anymore. Well, I mean, yes, it can. That's
with difficulty.
But not quite. So what's your process for kind of making this a serious, what do you call it, official thing?
Again, as with what I was talking about earlier with our hierarchy, the only sort of official area of BlockWorks is myself. So I operate as a sole trader. I do all the contracts, all the legals, all the paperwork. And then as far as our clients are concerned, we kind of operate as a collective. So legally speaking, if we have 5 people working on a project, they will contract me, and then I will subcontract those 5 people who work on it in the team. I mean, it operates as a company in terms of how we communicate, how we work together, but the legal structure is different because we have a very wide age range. It's got 14, the youngest, and the oldest is 30s. We operate across many different countries, and for us, the logistics of sort of signing up all those people across that wide spread it's just not desirable. So
Sure.
I handle all of that, and then they're sort of freelancers who are subcontracted under my name.
And so do you operate as a personal company?
We're kind of on that line at the moment. Up until now, no.
You're just an individual for the
as an
moment.
individual sole trader, but it's something that we're basically going to have to do.
Yeah, that's something that we'd love to have. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and if anyone knows in chat, but I don't think we have that in France. Because the French government wants money. So, for example, I have a company for my YouTube work, but we created an association for LanguageCraft because it was such a kind of iffy line where it could, I mean, someone's parents, for example, some of our members who are,
Yeah.
who knows, 14, could have sued me saying, wait, my kid is working for you and you're
Right.
making money and he's not.
Yeah.
Whereas now, as a company, this wouldn't work
Yeah.
because of tax purposes and because we would have had to have, 30 employees,
Mm.
which is impossible.
I guess that's slightly different for you because your revenue stream is YouTube and your team works towards that. Whereas for us, our team gets a direct cut of whatever they work on.
Mhm.
So they work on a commission, they will get an appropriate payment from that.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Because we make a lot less commissions builds, and those that we do, everything goes towards the team.
Yeah.
So, for example, now that we're an association, it basically says that, I mean, we can't, it's a non-profit. We can't make any profit. And what that means is not that we can't earn any money, but whatever money we do earn stays for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's great. We were talking about community management. This is something that we use towards that to organize, I mean, LanguageCon that we talked about once, and that's just events where we can really come together as a team. And I think that's much more enjoyable. But at the same time, I can totally understand why someone would, if they could, make a living.
Yeah, for sure.
Off of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's it was a big step for us as well, becoming an actual legal entity, and it's taken a lot of pressure off of me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so much work.
I can
so
see
much
that.
paperwork.
I mean,
Jeez.
with a lot of the companies we work with, when we discuss payment information, I always get a massive sigh of relief from them when I say that I'm essentially an independent freelancer than a company, because the amount of paperwork that you then don't have to do is.
I think that depends as well, because, for example, even with my company, which is a personal company in France, the only paperwork, obviously there is the contract itself, but apart from that, I send them an invoice and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. The bigger you get, the more complicated it is, and I think we're both at kind of that sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so company versus association, that's interesting. And it's funny because in a lot of ways you're more of a collective than we are.
Yeah.
But not legally.
But not legally. I mean, there are a lot of smaller teams I know that are organized as companies that don't necessarily have a huge income, but sort of at least taken the steps to register as a company in the UK, which is actually not a difficult process. It's when you start trying to add 39 employees that things get tricky.
Yes, yes indeed. So we've been around for a while. We've seen our teams evolve. We've seen teams come and go. What's the future? What does the future hold for the Minecraft community and teams?
I mean that's obviously tied to the future of Minecraft, and I think that's headed in the direction of sort of a place outside of gaming, not just as a fun games to play, but if you look at education, I think part of the Microsoft buyout was largely fueled by the potential they saw for Minecraft as sort of this global phenomenon that could be used in so many contexts beyond gaming. It's kind of the perfect educator for children, and it's starting to be used in a lot of schools. It's just been rolled out in all secondary schools in Northern Ireland.
Wow.
You've got Minecraft EDU pushing it up in Scandinavia.
I remember, following Minecraft EDU at the very start.
Yeah.
And it's even back then, I mean, I still talk about the videos that I saw back then.
Yeah.
And the experiments that they had with kids and what they taught them just through blocks.
Yeah. And that's getting really serious now. You're getting people writing curriculum for this stuff. You've got entire teams at Microsoft devoted to looking at what the community's doing, how it's going to affect it. And I think the Build community has a relevant place in that as content creators. So if you look at Minecraft EDU at the moment, it has great outreach, it has a great concept behind it, but the content isn't good because teachers don't know how to build very well. It's not surprising, but we do. So I think that's the connection that has to be made. And if you want to sustain a child's interest in a classroom environment, it has to be, something of a good build quality that they're going to enjoy and be impressed by. Otherwise, if you base a lesson in kind of a dirt medieval hut, they're not going to.
So you think that? No, I definitely agree with you that if you want to do some part of it properly, which is the whole education part and everything, you have to do the rest properly.
Yeah.
Sure. But you think that then the whole just gaming side and just people playing Minecraft for...
I don't think that will die off, but certainly in the work that's available in the gaming sector has severely decreased. I think that's partly a result of many Minecraft server networks having their own dedicated teams.
Sure.
But there certainly seems to be, and it's just a much more crowded marketplace. Whereas this is something that's growing at a much faster rate, in my opinion. And so I think there's a lot more opportunity for work there.
Yeah, again, we can definitely tell that you're really from that business point of view. Well, it is true, and you're right to do that. I mean, it's your job. It's like people who, as a professional YouTuber say, "Oh, you do YouTube for money." Say, well, yeah, otherwise I can't eat.
Right.
Of course I do it for money. Not only, but yeah. Whereas for me, we do very little commissions. And so most of it is just, is it good looking? Is it beautiful? Yes, then let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has different meanings for different people on our team. Some people are interested in doing this for an extra source of income. Some kind of use that income to justify the time they spend on it. I think, we certainly as a team we couldn't produce the quality of work that we do unless there was payment involved. You get paid for it, you can spend more time on it, you become better at it. So I think part of the reason we're hopefully able to create beautiful things is because people, our builders are lucky enough to be able to spend that time on it funded.
Yeah. However, there is something that now that I think of it, that's really true in what you're saying, is that just building, even as a team, I think is definitely something that I'll keep doing as a game regardless. But commissions, more and more, I don't think we've ever accepted in the last year or two build requests from a server.
Right.
Because it's not interesting work.
Right.
But when a museum contacts us or a big company or something and say, wait, this is the opportunity to do something more interesting that, as you said, transcends those gaming boundaries. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's the same with us. And a lot of gaming commissions are very similar. It's like a medieval hub or a survival games map. They're all very kind of generic, and they're just not interesting to build. But as soon as you start looking at education, it's beyond the aesthetics of it. It's, okay, how is this going to be used in real life? You have to think about all sorts, sort of integration of information, relevance to the thing. If it's a historical project, the build has to be historically accurate or, vaguely historically accurate.
Yeah, well, that is true. The couple maps that we did for servers were always kind of special. They weren't just your typical thing, because that's not interesting. You don't want to do what everyone else is doing.
Right. Okay. So do we want to start thinking about taking questions then? Unless there's...
I think so, yeah. So I have a couple on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
Well, not many.
Go for it.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
One was simply... where is he? Someone asking, and this is Dead MC.
Oh yeah, I've got that one.
Do you have some advice for a new builder who's looking for a team? I'd start by saying, obviously, watch a lot of what various teams are doing, because not every teams are alike.
Yeah.
And they won't all fit who you are. So apply to the right one, and you can always apply to more later.
Yeah.
And the other thing is spend time. And this is for us, for example, where we have a forum. Spend time on your presentation.
Mm.
We always, I mean, for example, we have a post saying this is the minimum we want from applicants. But when we say minimum, we mean it. Someone who has who has kind of average builds, who's kind of just where we are. He's not anything exceptional, but he's got this great personality, really fun and everything. I'd rather have him in the team any day compared to the best builder in the world who's a total asshole.
That's fair enough.
And I mean, not everyone thinks like that, I suppose, but
yeah. I think for us, we get a lot of applications who've looked at our work and they try and emulate that or copy that, and it comes across in the application as I'm building to suit your style.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We want the opposite of that. We want you to find your own style, something new that we don't already have. So don't try and mold your sort of way of building to suit a team. Sort of find your own, and then the right team will hopefully become apparent to you.
And, you know, I was talking about going towards, I mean, what you should do if you're going towards teams. But in the case of BlockWorks, they're going to come towards you. So just kind of be yourself and be attractive in what you do, and just, you know, go all out, and hopefully someone will come knocking. And if not, then you go bug them.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah, look around. There's such a variety.
A lot of teams out there these days. Okay. Any more questions? I don't know if we want to.
Not seeing anything else, actually.
And if you're watching the stream, if you've got any questions at all.
I'm trying to remember what questions I had when I gave this seminar conference back in April. I can't remember, but that's, I mean, we could always sort of give our closing thoughts. Waiting for anyone else to post something.
Yeah.
Anything for you? What do you have any last minute advice, or kind of Aran, I see you asking a question in the chat. You can just post it in the chat. We'll see it. No need to use the hashtag.
Yeah.
I'd say if you're going to create something, find your own, not necessarily niche specifically, but find your own style. There are so many teams that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
No one will go specifically to those teams. There's no point. Find something that makes you special.
Yeah. Try and be innovative. Do something different, and that's difficult to do, but it has been done consistently over the last 4 years. And just as you think, okay, no one can do anyone else, something will come up. Something I saw really recently, which we really liked, was a builder who was emulating a painting in Minecraft, but not just the subject of the painting, the style in which the painting was done. So it was an impressionist painting, and it had that sort of those bright colors and that kind of painterly style, and he recreated that in Minecraft, and that has huge potential. You could, try and recreate pop art or cubism. So I think and I haven't seen anything like that before. So I think there are still avenues to be explored creatively. So yeah, try not to stay on medieval sort of arts.
And even if you do, for example, in the previous conference I did just an hour ago, we were talking about kind of the evolution of style, where today if you start putting a little bit of detail, a lot of people will say, whoa, that's way too much, just whew. And sometimes they'll say that to me, and I'll say, well, I like it. I don't care. I'm just gonna have fun with this, and if you don't like it, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, just do whatever you want. Don't necessarily follow fashion, because if you do follow fashion, then you'll be just like everyone else. If you don't, then there'll always be that one guy who's gonna say, oh, thank you, he's doing what I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a few more questions come in.
Yeah.
How to get the name out to companies other than servers? This is something we've found really difficult, and it
Mm-hmm.
took us about 2-3 years to break outside of the Minecraft community and get noticed by some of the companies we work with. It's it's not easy. It's a lot to do with getting to know the right people. I think
Yes.
sort of developing personal contacts is absolutely key.
It
Um,
always happens when you don't expect it, I
right.
find.
And I think also you've got to present yourself professionally. If you're
Mm-hmm.
sort of just a little gaming community and you appear quite young, that will scare companies off. If you present yourself as a viable, production company capable of managing products in a commercial environment, then companies will think, okay, we can work with these people.
Yep, definitely. For me, it was, the museum thing, for example, was just, I presented our work at a filmmaking meetup, and someone contacted me afterwards and said, look, this is great. And I'd never thought that this was going to happen.
Mm,
So, yeah, just think outside the box. Someone will see it.
yeah.
I see someone who's asking, where can we see some education projects that we've built?
Well, our website has a few, but I need to update it. I could go through a few we've done recently. One was with the
And
Royal. Yeah.
just so you know, the website in question is
Oh yeah.
blockworksmc.com.
Yeah, definitely. One we've done recently was the Royal Institute of British Architects. They're looking at engaging kids in architecture. Architectural education in this country is abysmal. So what we did was we set up a server. We held a build contest which had the theme of brutalism, which is sort of a style of architecture that not many people are familiar with. And the idea is you'd have to go and research this theme to participate in the contest. And we held up this sort of plot server for a week, and then we took it back to the RIBA headquarters in London. We judged it with two of their staff members, and yeah, that was just kind of us testing to see what the kind of engagement would be like. And it was really positive. We had, I think, 109 plots. We had 150 unique players from all around the world, and that was a great result to see so many people engage with sort of a topic which not many people normally would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's great seeing it in real life as well.
Yeah. And we actually got picked up by quite a few sort of serious architecture magazines and companies. And that's sort of been great for us, actually. We've started to get a lot of response from the professional architectural community.
That's something that I really regret. We were talking with someone who was organizing an exhibition for a museum in Belgium. And this was going to be it was on a book and on architecture in a book. And we were kind of the last step of the process. And in front of us were going to be architects who would kind of look at all the data, make out plans, and then give them to us to make in Minecraft. And that fell through, but I thought now that's something I want to do. That's so original.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see. What do we see? Which theme would you consider the most underused? I mean, that's not necessarily for teams really, but it does. I mean, I did talk about earlier being outside the box.
Yeah.
I definitely not Oriental. Oriental has been done.
I don't see a lot of Slavic architecture or Byzantine architecture or Islamic architecture. It's very based on color and patterns. I mean, there's a bit of it, but I don't think it's anywhere near as prevalent as medieval or fantasy or kind of imperial styles.
I don't know what I would look at.
I think
space, maybe.
Yeah. I think you just need to kind of look at architectural styles throughout history to find something pretty quickly that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
Beyond the medieval period.
And even in there, you can always.
And even in there, there's stuff that.
I mean, for example, kind of halfway between just playing and teaching, the Let's Time Lapse series that I did, it would by accident it became an educational series because I was just working on it, and a historian contacted me and said, "Look, I really love what you're doing. This is exactly my field. Can I help you?"
Yeah.
And I would never have thought to ask him or to ask anyone. And it just evolved the whole thing. So again, there's that idea of just doing whatever you want, doing it well, and then it'll get bigger. I mean, it's hard though. YouTube and Minecraft is a big world.
It's a slog.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I see Oran is asking, so he's saying he's a teacher and he wonders how beautiful construction can help an education project. In a way, I would say it doesn't, but it's become kind of the norm. You need that to kind of be the case for your... I mean, this is something I was talking about earlier in another series, and I was saying, if your kind of project and the message you want to convey to your students is kind of the gem, then you need a nice box.
Right. It's kind of about drawing them in, getting them initially interested.
Especially if they themselves are in Minecraft.
Yeah.
You were saying they need to be impressed, and that's totally true.
Yeah. And then you've got the educational stuff on the inside once they
lure them in.
Has been peaked. Anything else? I mean, we've done our hour, so
I think this kind of covers everything we wanted to talk about. Regardless, I mean, I'm around for most of the convention if you want to swing by the channel. I mean, the kind of TeamSpeak channel, and if not, well, too late. No, we'll be posting this on YouTube, so we might, answer here and there. But this was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, I love, regardless, having these different worlds kind of not collide, but having all these different visions that still get you to the same place. Yeah.
Sure.
Great stuff.
Well, it's been a pleasure. So,
any parting words, James?
Not really. I think just if you're interested in Minecraft, there's opportunities out there beyond what you might realize. We certainly never anticipated, working with Disney and Warner Brothers 3-4 years from when we just started on a small community server.
And when we started, that kind of thing didn't even happen.
Right. Yeah.
So even if you think, oh, well, I'm never going to get to work with Disney, well, in 2 years' time, who knows who you'll be working with?
Right.
I mean, you'll be working with the White House. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, just have fun.
Have fun. That's a good one.
Great. And if you're interested in seeing all these videos that we've shown and seeing the channels and everything, more videos even, check us out at BlockWorks YouTube. On the channel, and LanguageCraft EN.
Perfect. Okay.
Great. All right. Well, thank you all for watching.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Have a great day. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.